We're back. This is Curzon Comments, live in San Diego, where I am, and in Manhattan. And welcome, James Moss.
Hi, Ed. Great to be with you again.
So
Lovely
this
to
is,
hear.
thank you so much. Sorry to talk over you. So I got so much to say. Wow. So, so this is edition number 6, isn't it?
Oh gosh, I'm losing count.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I know.
6, 7, 8. I mean, we're rocketing through. It's fantastic. And we're getting a lot of interest, Ed. It's interesting people clicking on and listening in a bit, which is terrific. Really great.
Well, we're not going to waste anybody's time here today. We have some really interesting info to share. First of all, let me tell you about what's happening here in 92101 behind me. That's downtown San Diego, 92101. There's an economic boom going on in construction. Uh, there's been for years parking lots on key corners throughout the downtown, and almost not one by one, but like two by two, they've been taken over or arranged. The owners, whoever they may be, have taken advantage of the downtown being underdeveloped in terms of housing. And high rises have sprung up over the past, well, COVID period, there was zero interest rates, remember? Because the Fed wanted to pump up the economy. Everybody at first was shocked and scared, and typically they don't spend any money when they're afraid and they're into uncertainty. So the Fed crashed interest rates to like zero, and all the big money people decided now's the time to start buying things and building. San Diego is one of those towns. And so a lot of these buildings behind me that you see right there, they weren't there 5 years ago. And it is now a job for people, well, like me in public relations and media to promote that idea that, hey, it's a cool place to live. So we'll get back to San Diego at another time. Curzon Comments is all about globalism, global business. And so we want to give a voice to the idea of people with the means or the opportunity can dart between New York and London. James Moss, you're a Londoner from way back and with deep and steep experience in property management. Tell us.
Well, that's a great introduction, and thank you. I'm just going to say one thing about San Diego and about the States is they build so quickly here. And they really put stuff up quickly. In the UK, it's a nightmare getting things built.
Hmm.
But Americans and America, which is my adopted sort of country, we don't hang around, if you like. So so anyway, I just wanted to mention that really.
Okay,
Um,
welcome again. So now you living now and have been for a few years on east side of Manhattan,
yeah,
and you go back and forth to London and now Dubai as well.
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, London, New York, turn up at the airport with an overnight bag, hop on a plane, and you get there and back. It's really, really easy. We've got a great network of contacts in Dubai and out in the UAE as a whole, actually. And I don't get there quite as much as I would like to be able to do so. But those relationships, those client relationships, and intermediary relationships are very strong, very healthy, both for London and New York, I would stress.
So tell me what's going on in Manhattan. Manhattan meaning the New York City uh, real estate for rentals.
Well, maybe I've got a few slides. Maybe we should try one of those and see what
Okay,
happens. I mean,
let's begin. Use my screen share. Um, so, audience, this is hot information. James is go-to. Before you push that button, Curzon Central. What's the website? I see here in the upper left,
Uh,
curzoncentral.com.
yes, our main website. So if you like, our host HQ website is cursoncentral.com. And from cursoncentral.com, you can get to our New York American website and also to our separate relocation website, which is a sort of division, it's a bit of a grand word, but we run our relocation side through cursonrelo.com. But basically, Curzon Central gets you to everywhere you need to go.
Okay, you got that, audience? Curzon with a Z, Curzon Central, all one word, curzoncentral.com, and there's a wealth of information. Now, I've known James for 20 years or more, socially as well as in business, and I got to tell you, this is the real deal here with James Moss. He has extensive property business management experience in London, and he's actually relocated into US. And now he's offering the services of relo, but in a high tech, super high tech, and wonderfully accepted product called.
Uh, it's Curzon Relo again.
There you go.
So the app, we do a lot of work with that app. And we work extensively in New York, by the way. Just we do a lot of relocation work here now. And the app is called Curzon Relo, and you can find it in the Apple App Store, and you can find it on Google Play. Just download it, and off you go.
Yep. And I'm looking at the small type there, curzonreload.com, of course. It's the
Curzon.
app that will save companies, save individuals money, and giving them more service on the phone.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, we don't work exclusively on the app. The app is really a tool for getting the job done. But what's great about it when we do use it and clients want to use it, it's just so efficient. And everyone communicates on a mobile phone, and it's secure and it's encrypted, which is really important. So you can do a whole. You don't even need email particularly. It's not mandatory, but it's there. It's really good for self-movers. But we use it now as a universal communication tool for everybody, and it's fabulous. Everyone thinks it's great and it's easy.
Okay, let's go to your slides. Take us on a tour.
Okay, so let's have a quick run through. Um, and let's start with New York. So, as I mentioned, Curzon is we're very active in New York. We're brokers in New York, so we're also British Chartered Surveyors. So we're qualified in London and internationally, but we're specifically also qualified as licensed brokers in New York and Connecticut. And you can see on this slide here some of the team. And we do property here, and we do relocation here. We do relocation at a wider scale as well. But this is our home in North America, and we're absolutely delighted to be here and working from here.
So in the
Um,
neighborhoods, oh, excuse me, in the Manhattan neighborhoods, what's hot? What's going on the rental market?
well, I don't know how that got in there. That is
A happy guy.
that is a heavy guy. There's two heavy guys. So that's me with one of my clients. So a lovely fellow who we relocated at the end of last year. And I'll let our audience read the testimonial whenever they feel like it. But as you can see, we've got a couple of classes in our hand. It all went very,
Yes, and I could see PJ Clark's is on Third Avenue in Midtown, right?
spot on, Ed. Spot on.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay, I'm going to read this, okay? James, and this is what this guy wrote. James made what could have been a stressful, high-pressure move feel completely effortless. despite a very short window, James found a place that suits me. This is a rental that suits me perfectly, something I didn't think was possible under the circumstances. I felt fully supported throughout. That, combined with James' calm, reassuring approach, got us there. Delighted it all worked out so well. Congratulations.
Well, thanks for reading that. I've got to say, this guy is one of a number of guys who we moved over sort of the fall of last year and into the run up to the holidays, and just terrific. He was under a lot of pressure, time wise and so on, and he was great to work with. Very sensible, and yeah, it went really well. But the nice thing is there are quite a lot more stories like this as well. And I have a great team here who also do it, but we all muck in together. A lot of relocation companies sort of, are very hierarchical. We tend to sort of like, everyone gets involved and, you get these sort of results. It's great.
So you just use an expression muck. So is that from your rugby days? Into the muck.
Muck in, yeah. I mean, I'm actually I'm no longer a rugby player, but I spent a very large chunk of my youth and young adulthood playing rugby, and I have the scars and the beauty marks to show for it.
Yeah, wow, that's a rough
Yeah,
sport. Well, San
it's
Diego has a rugby team, but I haven't gone to any of them yet.
well, not to digress too much, but California, San Diego is absolutely excellent for rugby,
Oh,
and
really? I'll look
the
into it.
the American seven-a-side rugby team is one of the finest rugby teams, seven-a-side rugby teams in the world. So little known
Wow,
fact there. Yeah, the US is
that
great, really,
that's
really good.
interesting. So where did this customer wind up renting? What part of town?
Brooklyn,
Aha.
interestingly enough.
Yeah,
And
okay.
so yeah, so let's sort of go on a bit on the slides here.
Okay.
Um,
So this is
and
Manhattan
well,
data.
this is Manhattan data. The reason I'm actually going to come back to Brooklyn in a second. But this is Manhattan data, and you can see that the average rent in Manhattan at the moment, this is across Manhattan, is $5,368 a month. Um, it's gone up about 7.7% from last year.
So that's a typical two bedroom.
Yeah, that's a sort of typical two-bedroom, good condition, midtown Manhattan type of situation. Usually furnished on something like that or semi-furnished. So yeah, yeah. But what's interesting here, and again, this sort of Toby ran into this gentleman we had previously, is that there wasn't a lot of stock around.
Hmm.
So one of the things you have to do is you have to move really quickly to secure the properties you see,
Aha.
and to try and avoid bidding wars. And bidding wars are really creeping into the equation over here again.
Prices go
So
up. Boy.
yeah, exactly. And on the bidding wars at the moment that we're seeing, and we weren't actually getting too involved in them, pleased to say. We'd like to get our clients in first and secure the place and avoid a bidding war. Um, but on average, on bidding wars, the rents being achieved are about 8% higher than the listed rents at the
Okay,
moment. So
let's go a little bit further into your data and the images that you have. Oh, there we are in Brooklyn, right?
yeah, well, this is classic Brooklyn. This is beautiful Brooklyn. I have to say, it is lovely. And this is your classic brownstone, which Americans, of course, are very familiar with. But a lot of people overseas know what is a brownstone, and this is your classic brownstone. And your brownstone, it may be a house, but a lot of them have been split into apartments. And in fact, it's gone full circle. So years ago, decades ago, you couldn't give these things away. They were so cheap. Um, and they became rentals. and they were rentals for a long, long time. And then what happened in the 80s, 90s, and noughties is that they started converting back into whole homes, whole houses again. And they're actually beautiful character buildings. So you can see some interior shots here, and you can see on the top shot on the living room that's actually very modern. And a lot of these brownstones have been, you know, beautifully designed inside. I mean, they're heritage buildings, a lot of them, so you can't knock them down.
And it
Um,
looks like in the bottom one that we're in a dining room. It could be a boardroom, but it looks like a dining room.
yes.
And it looks like it's a backyard.
Yeah, exactly. They have backyards. They have they're not big backyards, but they're really pleasant barbecue out there and so forth. Um,
Interesting.
you can see all the cornicing and the traditional uh, formwork that they call here. We sort of call it the moldings and so on. And they're all period features, and they're absolutely beautiful. And the materials are really high quality materials. So a lot of these buildings were built sort of, the 1840s, 1820s, 1860s, sort of Victoria period.
So,
So
if
pretty,
I'm not rich enough, but I'd be interested to know what would something like this, a three-story house in this kind of a setting in Brooklyn, cost to buy?
well, they're going up all the time, or at least they have been. You're looking at, a low price these days would probably be 5 million. And I think you're looking at probably 5 to 8 to 10, depending on condition and so on and so forth. And the location. I mean, Brooklyn's a huge, huge area, actually. Um, so this sort of brownstone here would be somewhere like Prospect Park, which is a heritage part of Brooklyn, right next to Prospect Park, which is very similar to Central Park. In fact, it was the same designer who did Central Park, who did Prospect Park. And you'll be looking at the higher end of those values for this.
Okay, let's move on. And what else do you have?
Okay, let's see what else we've got. Well,
Oh, here we are, New York, New York.
yeah, this is brilliant. This is super prime, what we'd call super prime Manhattan. This is 220 Central Park South.
I'm just thinking of Frank Sinatra singing New York, New York. If you can make it here,
Well, if you're living in here, you certainly made it. I can tell you that. This is it's known as the hedge fund managers building.
the king of the world.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's full of celebrities. It was a Stern building, architect Robert Stern, and it was the first of the really great luxury skinny and skyscrapers, if you like, in New York. Phenomenally successful, and today it is still considered to be the number one. I would say probably the number one address
So what we're
in,
looking at
in Manhattan.
is this white stone building in front of this taller glass
Yeah,
building.
we're looking at this one here.
Yeah.
And just to give you a few reference points, so this was the first, skyscraper of its type to be done. You can see it's Robert Stone because it's the materials being used are more classic. He's better known as the neo classical architect. And then you've got these other skinny buildings, skyscrapers around. Behind, you've got Central Park Tower, which is the tallest residential building in the world. And that was built afterwards. Um, to the left here, this sort of blue Ripley building, it was designed to look like a waterfall, is one at 57. Um, on 57th Street there, and it's a beautiful building. It's also got a hotel in. So that's again that was a very famous building. And then this one here is the Steinway building. It's 111. on 57th Street. It's built on top of the old Steinway piano factory. That was that's where it's got its name from. And then this very far one at the back here is actually lower down on Park Avenue, and that's 432 Park Avenue, which again is an iconic modern skinny skyscraper.
What
Uh,
what cross street is at 432?
are you referring to this one down here?
Yeah, 432.
Do you know, I couldn't say for sure. Well, at 432 down here, sorry, the cross street is it would be 57th Street and Park. It's on Park Avenue. In fact, it's a slight misnomer. It's actually set back one block from Park Avenue. But the developer very cleverly and very smartly bought the block in front, which I think is a car dealership. So he got the Park Avenue address.
Oh, that is
And
interesting.
I mean, these guys, the developers behind these buildings, are the New York real estate titans. And these guys, it's like being at a casino every day. I mean, they are such high rollers. There's a very good book, just to mention it to our audience, if you're interested in a lot more, learning a bit more about finding out a bit more about this, pick up a book called Billionaires Row, and it's written by a Wall Street Journal journalist. Brilliant book. She did a brilliant job on it. And she takes five of these buildings, pretty well all that you can see here, and she goes through each one bit by bit. It's like reading a thriller, a whodunit. It's absolutely brilliant. I'd recommend it.
This is fascinating. That's a wow. Well, thank you for the tour here. Or what's next?
Okay, let's see what we've got next. Well,
Uh,
back to London, back to London. And as we do London and New York. We're very active in London. We're very active in New York.
so
And
so 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 this would be a house, or would this be apartments stacked up?
well, this is fairly traditional white stucco, prime central London. So this could be in Notting Hill. It could be down in Belgravia, Chelsea, Kensington. I mean, it's a very classic style. And often they are houses, and often they are split into what we call flats or apartments, if you like. And it's a similar story to some of the Brooklyn properties we looked at, depending on where they are. So if you took Notting Hill Gate, for example, you have some lovely properties like this in Notting Hill Gate. You go back 40 or 50 years, and a lot of them were flats and apartments, and they were pretty run down and so on. Today, Notting Hill is one of the absolute premier locations in London, commanding the highest rentals and the highest prices.
Well, it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And we run a property management service. So for 20, 25 years, we've been managing property, residential and commercial property in London for clients, including blocks. So we actually manage blocks of these types of buildings as well.
Way to go. What's next?
Okay. So I just thought we'd have a quick look at what's happening in the rental markets in London. London is really hard. London isn't like Manhattan where you can sort of average out and get the numbers right and so on. London is a much broader parish in that sense. So what we tend to do is we tend to look at trends. And what you will see here is that during the pandemic, um, London, and you've got here prime central London in blue and what they call prime outer London in orange, but they're much the same, frankly, in terms of the way the numbers and the trends flow. And what you'll see is during the pandemic, just like uh, outside of New York and people trying to get out of cities, as well as uh, trying to sort of find the leafy locations, if you like, and there are a lot of those in them. The rental values just took off, they took off, and then they came right down as the pandemic sort of worked its way through. And then they sort of, picked up again. They kept going. There's a shortage of housing stock in London. This has been a big problem, particularly on rentals. And anyway, we come all the way over here to January, beginning of this year, and rents at the moment look as though they may have bottomed out. What I think is that I think the data is pretty good. The question is what's going to happen next. And if you look at the very end of those trends, they're just beginning to turn up again. And what you've got going on in London is you've got landlords leaving the market, like you have landlords leaving the market in New York for different reasons. And I think what we're going to see is we're going to see rent starting to go up again.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where we are as a general trend in
General
central
trend.
London at the
Right,
moment.
right. So in certain areas, high-end areas throughout London, it's sky high. Show us.
Sky high and rocketing.
Rocketing,
This,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So I'm going to go on to the next slide.
Yeah, fly me to
Um,
the moon.
yes, this is sort of this is One Hyde Park, Knightsbridge, which is the equivalent of 220 Central Park South, really. It's a stunning modern development right across the road from Harrods. I mean, literally, it's a 3-minute walk to Harrods. And I'm pleased to say my office used to be around the corner, so I know the area incredibly well. But I wasn't in one of these. But it's an absolute fantastic location. It's South Kensington, Eaton Square, and everything just up the road from here. So you're
Yeah, so
talking,
it's primo. Primo.
yeah, you're talking prime central London. So to give you a feel on rent, so if you wanted to rent one of these apartments at One Hyde Park, you're looking at about £50,000 a month, 65,000 US dollars a month for your sort of fairly average three bed apartment. And like 220 Central Park South, there's loads of amenities in these buildings. There's swimming pools and there's concierge and there's saunas and all sorts of things. So they're very highly amenitized. What you've got going on in London, though, the booming sector of London is actually anything over 5,000 a week at the moment. And that's for a number of reasons. I won't delve too deeply into it here. But the cost of actually buying a house, if you're an overseas buyer in London, it's very expensive now because of stamp duty. Um, the other thing is there for residents, international residents in London, there are major changes going on with the abolishment of what's known as non-dom status. And what that basically means is that if you're a very rich person and you want to live in London and use it as your base, you can do so for the next 4 years uh, pretty easily. And then the government is going to hit them with inheritance tax on their global wealth. And what this means is that we are seeing a huge exodus of very wealthy international people who don't have to be in London. These people can live in anywhere. They can live in New York, they can live in Dubai, they can live in Milan, they can live in the Caribbean. They don't need to be there. So they want to be in London for cultural and schools and all business reasons and time zones and all that stuff that we know. But unfortunately, a lot of them are now seriously rethinking Do they really need to be in London if there is going to be a global wealth tax, particularly in inheritance tax? Um, so a lot of these people who don't own houses are saying, I'm not going to buy, I'm just going to rent for a while. Maybe I'll, go through a transition period, my kids at school, something like that. And then think it through. So high-end rental are absolutely taking off.
And
Uh,
that's one Hyde Park type thing.
that's one high part. But the other thing I just want to mention is that the US dollar is so weak right now. Okay. And that has equated over the since July last year, to about a 38% discount against the pound. So, in other words, you're getting an incredibly big kick for your buck in prime London real estate. Right?
Well, more on that later. Once again, reach James at Curzon with a Z, CurzonCentral.com. Let's go to the next.
Okay, so this is the last slide here. This is a little bit of self-publicity, Ed. I guess it's our show, so why not? And
So
uh,
you're showing us the app.
and showing the app, yeah, basically. So this
Yeah.
is so our app is it's really cutting edge technology. We've just been shortlisted in the Americas, so it is really fantastic. Um, for the best bespoke technology in global relocation in the Americas at the moment. And so we're very proud. Yeah, I think we're sort of proud. We're certainly chuffed to be there. So yeah, so the Emma Awards are in about a month's time, and we're just delighted to be there in some very good company. What we do is very unique, actually. No one else does what we do the way we do it, which is brilliant. But yeah, we're just very happy. I'm very happy for our team, our tech team, our Relo advisor community that made the cut. It was great.
Thank you for being my guest on this broadcast and this recording session. The world will see this, James. Congratulations on your obvious success. And I'm really happy that you're my customer.
Well, it's great. Thank you. And I love our partnership. I love Global Business News and what we do together and what we do is in business and what we do as friends. So
Cheers.
thank you very much.
All right. CurzonCentral.com. Okay, I'm going to push the right button so I can let you go. Thank you.
All the best. Cheers.